You know, every country has its own story, right? A long, winding road of moments that make it what it is today. And today, we're going to walk through the incredible story of South Africa, a place with ancient roots, a history of deep struggle, and ultimately an amazing story of triumph. So, let's dive in. So, a good place to start is with a really simple question. Has South Africa always been the country we see now? And the answer, of course, is a huge no. Its journey is just one of massive transformation, full of really brave people and huge turning points that changed absolutely everything. To really get this story, we have to go back, and I mean way back. We're talking thousands and thousands of years ago, to a time when this land was home to some of the very first people on Earth. Here we meet two really important groups: the San, who were amazing hunter-gatherers known for their incredible rock art, and the Khoi, who were the region's first herders. These communities lived in this deep, incredible connection with the land, and they really laid the very first cultural foundations for all of Southern Africa. And for thousands of years, that was pretty much how things were. But then, a period of huge change began. New people started arriving from far across the oceans, and that set off a chain of events that would completely redefine the future of the region. This timeline really shows you just how quickly things started to shift. In 1652, the Dutch showed up, creating the first permanent European settlement. Then, by the 1800s, the British were there too, which led to all sorts of clashes over land. But the real game changers? The discovery of diamonds in 1867, and then gold in 1886. I mean, suddenly, this land held unbelievable wealth, which basically set the stage for future conflict and turned it into this global hotspot. Everyone wanted to control it. All of this conflict and competition eventually led to a really dark and deeply unfair chapter in the nation's history. See, in 1948, a new government came into power, and they created a whole system that was designed around one single idea: separation. And that system was called apartheid. You know, the name itself tells you everything you need to know. The word apartheid is from the Afrikaans language, and it literally means separateness. It was a policy of total racial segregation and discrimination, all written into law. And the impact this had on people was just devastating. Your race determined almost every single aspect of your life: where you were allowed to live, what kind of school you could go to, the job you could have. And the most important thing to get here is that this wasn't just about prejudice. It was a cold, hard legal system designed from the ground up to enforce inequality. But in the face of such huge injustice, something incredible started to happen. An amazing resistance movement began to grow. Brave men and women rose up, and they dedicated their entire lives to fighting for a fair and just South Africa for every single person. People like these became the absolute heart of the struggle. You had leaders like Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambo, and Walter Sisulu planning and organizing. You had unbelievably courageous women like Winnie Madikizela Mandela and Albertina Sisulu, who kept the fight going inside the country. And you had moral voices like Archbishop Desmond Tutu and thinkers like Steve Biko. I mean, together, they became these global symbols in the fight for justice. And the sacrifices they made were just profound. Just look at this number: 27. 27 years. That is how long Nelson Mandela was locked away in prison for fighting for what he believed in. But even from a jail cell, his vision for a free, democratic South Africa never, ever faded. And it inspired millions of people all over the world. So after decades and decades of struggle, the pressure from inside South Africa and from all around the world finally became too much. The system began to crumble, and this led to this incredible moment of hope and transformation, a brand new beginning for the whole country. The year everything changed was 1994. For the first time in the country's entire history, South Africa held a truly democratic election. Every single citizen, no matter their race, was able to go and cast a vote and finally have their voice heard. And on May 10th of that year, the whole world watched as Nelson Mandela, the man who was a political prisoner just 4 years earlier, was sworn in as the first president of a new, free, and united South Africa. It was just an unbelievable historic moment. It was in this amazing spirit of unity that another hero of the struggle, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, gave the country a beautiful new name, a really powerful idea for what it could become. He called it the Rainbow Nation. So what does that mean, the Rainbow Nation? Well, the idea is just so beautiful and simple. It's that just like all the different colors come together to make one beautiful rainbow, all of South Africa's diverse cultures and languages and people could come together to form one beautiful nation, where their differences were actually their greatest strength. So if we look back at this whole incredible journey, it starts with the land's ancient peoples, it's totally changed by new arrivals, it goes through a period of terrible hardship, it's saved by the courage of its heroes, and finally it arrives at this bright new beginning. And that brings us to today, and it leaves us with a really important question to think about. I mean, the journey from apartheid to democracy was a massive achievement for sure, but the work of building a truly equal and united country, well, that work is still going on. So what does it really mean to live up to that promise of the Rainbow Nation today? That's a question not just for South Africa, but for all of us.